This is a great question, because when we look at legislation and we identify problems with it, we should also be able to identify what we would change or how we would amend the legislation to deal with those problems. I agree, coercive control is a big problem, and that type of behavior is something that there should be some mechanism to deal with besides, just people getting out of relationships, hopefully, that involve that. I think the biggest thing I would change is I would add in a without justification or without reasonable excuse provision that would cover circumstances where, for example, you have a partner who's attempting to control somebody taking their medication because they need their medication. They have a mental health issue and they will potentially cause somebody harm or lose touch with reality if they don't take it. Somebody who has dementia who's resisting taking their medication because of the symptoms of dementia. So I would include a safety valve of without reasonable excuse or without justification in there to cover those circumstances, and I would define maybe some of what the justifications could be, although I would make it an open-ended definition. I would also tighten up the language around the fear for the safety and removing the sort of provision that requires it to be not just that the person fears for their safety, but that it could also occur where a reasonable person in their shoes may fear for their safety. Because you might have people who are engaging in, and you can think about this in the context of like dom-sub relationships, for example, engaging in conduct that would fall within the criminal definition of coercive control in this bill, but is in fact consensual. Like think about FinDom and things like that, attempting to control somebody's finances, but they're consenting to it. And if a reasonable person otherwise in that situation who's not into FinDom would find that was something that would cause them to fear for their safety, then this person could be charged even though the actions that they're engaging in is completely consensual. And while that would probably be sorted out in the charge approval process and by Crown, and the charges probably would be dropped, we shouldn't be tying up the court time, the police time, the justice system time with cases that don't need to be brought. So I would tighten up the definition to make it where somebody actually fears for their safety, to deal with the situations where issues that might appear on the outside to be coercive control are in fact consensual.